Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the AI Expo Africa Virtual Summit. I hope that all of you and your families, your friends, and your colleagues are all keeping healthy and safe. And I would like to begin by thanking Nick Bradshaw and his amazing team for the opportunity to speak here again. My name is Fred Werner from the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, and I have the privilege of presenting today's keynote on AI for Good, Time to Move the Needle. Now, the ITU is the United Nations Specialized Agency for ICTs, and we are responsible for the allocation and harmonization of radio spectrum. We also develop technical standards that underpin modern telecommunication networks and provide development and capacity building to help developing countries bring up their ICT infrastructure. And the ITU is unique in that we are the only UN agency with a private and public membership, bringing together 193 member states, over 700 tech companies, and over 160 universities. We are also the organizers of the AI for Good Global Summit, alongside XPRIZE Foundation, and in partnership with 36 UN agencies, ACM, and co-convened with Switzerland. And the goal of the summit is to identify practical applications of AI to advance the Sustainable Development Goals and scale those solutions for global impact. Now, the AI Summit was created about 4 years ago and built on the premise that we only have about 10 years left to achieve the SDGs, and that AI has great potential to help us solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. From climate change to clean energy to affordable healthcare and global pandemic response, the potential is definitely there. However, our race to capture value from the technology challenges our ability to fully leverage AI to improve quality of life and the world we live in. And I'd like to present a quote from last year's summit from the chairman Siemens, but I think it's quite fitting. So he says, and I quote, "You can argue that so far our main solution for AI is to understand consumer preferences better so we can influence their tastes and opinions. We do that in ways where companies create monopolies around the data collected on your tastes. We concentrate the value coming from those applications to very few hands. That, ladies and gentlemen, cannot be the smartest way of using artificial intelligence." And I think he made a good point here. The lion's share of AI talent is pretty much using their collective brainpower to figure out how to sell more advertising online and not really working on global problems. So I would argue that in order to use AI to make a difference, we must use AI for good. Now, different societies have different priorities and a different understanding of what is good. So how do we know what challenges to work on and what is good? Well, that is easy. We have the Sustainable Development Goals to guide us. These are a set of goals that were created by the UN to improve the quality and sustainability of life on Earth by 2030, agreed upon by 193 countries. And I think this slide shows that virtually every goal and target can potentially be improved and impacted in a positive way by AI. We must also be vigilant, however, that at least 59 of those targets could be negatively impacted by AI. For example, if you're looking at job loss or lack of inclusivity, bias, energy consumption, and different things of that nature. However, I think the graph shows that the positives by far outweigh the negatives. And what are some of these applications that can actually advance the 17 SDG targets? So I'd like to show you a little video that just highlights some of these use cases. So I think you could see from the video that the potential is undoubtedly there, but we are also running out of time. We have about 10 years left to achieve these 17 SDGs, and we need to act now to make it happen. AI solutions that we identify today need a few years to develop, a few more years to achieve scale, and then a few years after that to achieve the desired impact. At a minimum, we're looking at a 10-year timeline, bringing us right up to 2030. So we have to act now if we want to have a chance of moving the needle. Now, there's no shortage of innovative AI for good applications that we've seen in the past summits, from using smartphones for early diagnosis of skin disease and pandemic contact tracing, to robotics, to increasing agricultural productivity, to using machine learning to increase cybersecurity and optimize telecommunication networks. The use cases are there. However, it's one thing to develop a solution in a high-tech lab in a developed country, and another thing to deploy and scale these solutions across developing countries, being mindful of the harsh conditions on the ground, as well as the societal, financial, and political challenges involved. So connecting so-called problem owners with AI innovators needs to be as easy as ordering a ride-sharing app if we are serious about scaling AI for good. If we look at OpenAI and data as a common and shared resource, then we need to connect and help people speak the same language and identify open algorithms and publicly available datasets to help them solve their challenges. Now, we've also reached a landmark where half the world's population is now online. While that might seem like an amazing achievement to some, the fact remains that 50% of the population is still not connected. This is the equivalent of the V8 engine only firing on 4 cylinders. We are not benefiting from the shared art, culture, music, creativity, knowledge, wisdom, and potential problem-solving power of half a planet. So it's crucial that we connect the remaining 50 of the planet so we can start firing on all cylinders. And how do we know we're making progress? So this is a daunting task, but approximately 30 of the SDG targets could potentially be tracked in real time from space. For example, AI-powered satellite imagery analysis can be used to predict and prevent deforestation, track livestock with great accuracy, map poverty, provide data analytics from microinsurance to small farmers. So all of these could be tracked in real time. And if this was made available to the public, you could really achieve problem solving at scale. And no one is doing this yet, and because it would require massive scale collaboration to the order of $1 billion. And if we can't see the needle, then how can we expect to move it? AI is an extremely powerful technology, and that's not without its own risks and challenges. So we must be vigilant that AI develops in a safe, secure, trusted, and inclusive manner for all. We must be mindful of inherent biases that are already baked into our systems and avoid unintentionally codifying the worst of human behavior into future algorithms. Will AI put us all out of work, or even worse, make us irrelevant? AI experts themselves say that AI is too important to leave it to the experts alone. And this is an issue that affects every person, every company, every institution, and every government. So it's imperative that we bring as many voices to the table as possible. And what do we want? So through all of this, we should not lose sight of what is humanity, our own intelligence, and what it is we truly want. It's often easier to blame technology, focusing on our fears and what-if scenarios, rather than discussing our core values and charting a beneficial path forward for humankind. If we don't know what we want for the future, how can we move the needle? And many of these global challenges may seem impossible, and companies, institutions, and governments alike do not have the means or the will to tackle them head on. So we believe that solutions can come from anyone and anywhere, and we need to find innovative ways to incentivize and mobilize the power of a crowd, combined with AI, to unlock new breakthroughs and solutions that could help to advance the SDGs. So where do we begin? Well, the AI for Good Global Summit is probably a good place to start. The AI Summit is the action-oriented, global, and inclusive United Nations platform on AI. And the summit was organized with ITU, with XPRIZE, in partnership with 36 UN sister agencies, and ACM, as well as co-convened by Switzerland. And the goal of the summit is to identify practical applications of AI and scale those solutions for global impact. And of course, with the goal of accelerating the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So who do we bring to the table? As I said before, the AI experts themselves say the AI is too important to leave to the experts themselves. So the summit is really a multi-stakeholder, interdisciplinary, and intergenerational platform where we bring together the leading minds in AI. We bring together top industry CEOs, C-level leaders from industry, top academics from top leading universities, leading top AI research. We bring together 36 UN agencies, quite often bringing the heads of the agencies or people directly impacted on projects on the ground. We bring together member states, government officials, NGOs, nonprofits, think tanks, and also creative visionaries. And of course, now that the world has gone online, we have the ability to reach even more people from a broader base. And this is just an example of some of our previous speakers and people who are part of the AI for Good community. Some of these are household names or even rock stars in the AI community, like Joshua Bengio, Fei-Fei Li, Cedric Villani. Some are captains of industry, like Jim Schnabel from Siemens or Jean-Philippe Courtois from Microsoft. And some are, for example, when we said in the creatives or in the sports, we had a world chess champion. And the list goes on. We have hundreds of speakers, but this is just a sampling of some of the leading minds that are coming to the summit. And we always say that the AI Summit is more than just a talk shop, and that it's action-oriented, and that it exists to generate AI for good projects. So we organize the summit around breakthrough tracks, where we aim to connect problem owners with AI innovators to identify new solutions to big challenges to advance the SDGs. We also have knowledge sharing talks, keynotes, webinars, where we bring together these people. We have the Innovation Factory, where we have live pitching and startups that are using AI in unique ways to advance the SDGs. And then, of course, bringing together lots of demos and solutions and talks and what have you. So we're really providing a full package, but more to the point of not being a talk shop and just action-oriented. Here are some of the outcomes that have been basically that the summit gave birth to. So you have the AI for Health focus group, the AI for Autonomous and Assisted Driving focus group, the Machine Learning and 5G focus group, the AI and Data Commons, and the AI for Environmental Efficiency group. So I like to think that the summit delivered on its action-oriented promise by giving rise to these activities. And work continues on the AI for Health focus group that was created in collaboration with the WHO, and that basically works to establish the framework and associated processes for the performance of benchmarking of AI for Health algorithms. We also have a focus group on machine learning for future networks and 5G, and their role is to define requirements of machine learning as they relate to interfaces, protocols, algorithms, data formats, and network architectures. And they've also launched a machine learning 5G challenge. There's a ITU focus group on environmental efficiency and other emerging technologies, where they will benchmark best practices and describe pathways towards standardized framework to assess the environmental aspects and adoption of emerging technologies. And then last but not least, we launched this year the Global Initiative on AI and Data Commons. And if you think of AI, open AI and open data as a common and shared resource, then what would be the requirements and the infrastructure and preconditions to enable problem solving at scale, or AI for good problem solving at scale, rather? So this has been a concept that started at the first summit and matured through subsequent editions, and now giving birth to this group. And basically, if you look at what we're trying to do is connect AI innovators with problem owners. And to do that, you need a connection mechanism, right? And then on top of that, you would need to help them to speak a common language and come up with a common problem, if you will. So it's not enough for a mayor in Vietnam, for example, to say, I have a traffic problem, please someone help. We need to be able to formulate that problem statement in a standardized way. And we need a connection mechanism where you could connect a mayor in Vietnam, for example, with an AI researcher in another part of the world. And once they're speaking a common language and they can create a common way of explaining the problem, then we also need an intake mechanism where you could take the problem into a kind of sandbox environment. And in this sandbox environment, you would have open data, you would have open algorithms, and you would have compute power, and basically a way for people in this community to test algorithms, to benchmark against them, and also to look at domain transfer in the sense where if maybe you solve a traffic problem in Vietnam, it might be applicable to Cairo, or some elements might be. So what you're really looking at is a global community that's decentralized with the aim of scaling AI problem solving globally, and basically creating a kind of sandbox environment where you take open data and open algorithms where you can perform problem solving at scale. And I think that this is something that the participants of the summit really identified as something that you would need if you were to take AI for good problem solving beyond the lab, if you will. So like most of the world, the AI Summit has gone digital. Earlier this year, we were going to have the summit in May in Geneva. Then we quickly moved it to September, and then we quickly realized that why not leverage the full capability of going digital and just turn this into an all-year, always online platform, learn as we go, and to start with programming. And since then, we've had over 30 online sessions. We organize our sessions into 3 categories. So one is build, where you're actually building solutions. So that would be through the breakthroughs and the innovation factory, for example. Obviously, you have a learning component where we have a lot of top-notch keynotes and where we have an open debate among the different stakeholders. And then the experience part, where, of course, you can network and also experience and learn new things in the form of demos, arts, and performances. And since we've gone virtual, you can see here we've grown quite a bit. So the first summit in 2017 had about 500 people. We tried to squeeze 700 people in that same venue the next year. We quickly realized we had to move to the Congress Center across the road last year. And now that we've gone virtual, we've been able to reach over 35,000 people through online sessions. And of course, that comes with the pros and cons, but we're leveraging the opportunity to its fullest. And just for example, last year we reached 90 countries. Now we've already reached 140 countries. We've been able to increase the gender balance from 38% to 48%. And we've been able to include many more developing countries who were not able to travel to Geneva beforehand, pre-COVID, but anyways. So if you're looking at the programming, so this is pretty much how the core programming of this year is organized. So AI for environment, AI for zero hunger, AI for gender inclusivity, AI for humanizing health, AI for smart and safe mobility, AI for cultural heritage, and AI for digital trust. Of course, now that the programming has been opened up to an online platform, we're covering virtually every SDG, probably almost weekly. So this has really opened up the opportunity to cover more topics, do more deep dives, go more region specific, and just basically scale our AI for good programming in a way that wasn't possible before. One thing I'd like to highlight as well is AI and the arts. So we last year had a session where we invited artists to basically share their vision of how AI is going to impact the future of their arts or their profession, if you will. And we had artists that are using AI to either push the limits of their creativity or push their human performance limits, and all with the goal of creating a vision for a sustainable future. And it was such a popular track last year, but not only was it popular, it actually changed the narrative, where if you look at the first summit, where it was very much about the hype of AI, the second summit was very much about, okay, what are the problems around AI? And then with this third summit, the artists inspired our participants to basically think beyond the problems and the dystopian narratives and all the issues surrounding AI, and to really think about what it means to be human, what is intelligence, and what is it that we actually, what do we actually want for humanity? And I think they illustrated this well in the sense that if their art is not threatened by AI, but in fact enhanced by AI, this could show a nice pathway for many other domains going forward. So if you watch or if you follow AI for Good, you'll see a lot more content on this coming in the future. Another thing that was launched last year, but that has scaled up this year, is what we call the Innovation Factory. So this is a kind of competition, if you will, where we've reached out to startups around the world who are using AI specifically, or some kind of machine learning technology, to specifically solve one or more of the SDGs. So obviously there's a lot of startups out there using AI to, develop useful apps, popular apps, or maybe commercialize things or make money off it. But here it's really startups with the end goal of advancing the SDGs. And we're having weekly pitching sessions where people compete. Well, first they apply. There's a selection process, and then they have a chance to pitch. And then through this evaluation process, where they are evaluated by mentors, by venture capitalists, by advisors, people who really have a good sense of what is needed in the future, in the end, we'll come up with a selection of the top winners that will be presented at the end of November. So if you are a startup out there watching and you're using AI and you're solving global challenges with this, please apply and be part of the process. We would want nothing more. So it wouldn't be fitting for me to present AI for Good without talking about AI for Good in Africa. So thanks to Nick Bradshaw, AI for Africa was at the Physical Summit in Geneva last year. I went to the Physical Summit in Cape Town and had a chance to present and network and join panels. And for me, it was a fabulous event. And the AI Expo Africa has been very helpful in helping to bring and increase participation from the African community, both in terms of content, in terms of participation, in terms of startups and data challenges. So they've really been a key partner. So I'd like to acknowledge that and thank Nick and his amazing team for that. As well as that, we've also been in touch with the AI Alliance for AI for Africa, Dash, AI for Africa, Zindi, who does online AI and data challenges in Africa. And we had a very good session just a few weeks ago. You might recognize some of these profiles, especially the Minister of Communication from South Africa, who is the keynote speaker. And this took place online, and conversely now I'm speaking to you online, and hopefully more of this type of collaboration can happen in the future. There was some good media coverage from the session and from the joint participation in both our events. And just to show how going digital has really increased the participation from developing countries and Africa, here's some statistics from 2019 versus 2020. So in 2019, we had 2,300 physical participants at our summit. And with a few online sessions over the past few months, we've been able to increase those participants to well over 7,500 registered participants. But also we reached far more participants by social media as well, bringing that total amount of people reached to 35,000. If you look at the number of developing countries, in 2019, it was 51. That's increased to 87 so far. But more specifically for African countries, it more than developed, where we had 13 African countries last year. And now we've had 32 registered participants in our sessions in 2020. Likewise, the participants from developing countries were 350 last year. Now it's 1,465. And then also from number of participants from African countries, that really increased manyfold, going from 60 to almost 400. And you can see in the graph below the actual countries that have been connecting and attending our sessions. So again, I would say this is one of the positive side effects of COVID and going digital. And again, it wouldn't have been possible without the help of AI Africa helping to facilitate all of this and provide all the connections. So basically, to wrap up my talk, the time is now, I would say, to move the needle. The time is now to act. So we need to create practical applications of AI for good solutions aligned with the SDGs. It's time to scale. So we should use the global initiative on AI and data commons and use that as an enabling platform to scale AI problem solving for good. It's time to connect the remaining 50 of the world so that we're firing on all 6 cylinders. It's time to monitor. We should do real-time tracking of the SDGs as much as possible, and there's high potential to track these SDGs from space in real time. It's time to be vigilant of our inherent biases, safety, and security risks. It's time to humanize, so to focus on what do we want, what is intelligence, and what do we want to chart a beneficial course for the future. And last but not least, moving the needle, so employing innovative problem-solving methods to bring about radical breakthroughs for the breakthrough of humanity. And with that, I'd like to say thank you, and please come and meet me in the lounge if you have any questions or you'd like to partner or find out how to get involved, and more importantly, how to increase even more participation from the African continent. I'll be there waiting, willing, and ready to meet you. And I leave you with a photo from last year in Cape Town. This was a photo after one of our panels. And it just reminds me of the good old times, but also I think there's a lot of benefit to be had by going virtual, where I can meet many more of you, and we can be more inclusive and include more people in the participation. Bring more people to the table. So with that, thank you. Please come meet me in the lounge, and I'll be there waiting. Goodbye.